you draft right, these 5 running backs could be league winners. Draft wrong, and you'll be spending that season wondering what went wrong while someone else lifts a trophy. These 5 running backs are going to decide the 2025 fantasy football season. They're either massively undervalued, sitting on sky-high ceilings, or hiding in plain sight at the end of your draft. Let's break them down one by one. Starting with De'Von Achane, who could be this year's Christian McCaffrey. Now, if you weren't paying attention last year, let me hit you with this. He finished second among all NFL players in design targets. Not just second among running backs, second among everyone, wide receivers included. And Jonnu Smith, who also finished top 15 in design targets, was just traded to Pittsburgh. That's terrible for my Jonnu Smith shares, but huge for De'Von Achane. Because Miami schemed up a ton of passes to Jonnu. With him out of the picture, expect even more of those short area looks to go to Achane. And here's where it gets absolutely insane. In the 11 games he played with Tua last year, Achane averaged 6.6 targets per game and 6.1 receptions per game. Over a 17-game season, that's 112 targets and 103 receptions. To put that in perspective for you, only 6 running backs in NFL history have ever caught over 100 passes in a season. Achane could certainly be the 7th in 2025. And when you factor in that Raheem Mostert is gone and he's only competing for touches with second-year running back Jalen Wright and rookie Ollie Gordon, Achane could realistically push for elite touch volume. Factor in he's one of the most explosive players in football, and you have a legitimate shot at the running back 1 overall. Early this offseason, I was saying you have to draft Christian McCaffrey in the second round, and now he's a first rounder. Now I am telling you, you have to draft De'Von Achane in the second round before this guy becomes a first rounder in August and your league mates wise up. Now let's move to a guy who might just be the best value pick in fantasy football right now, Kenneth Walker. First off, even what many considered a down year in 2024, he still averaged over 16 fantasy points per game. That's strong running back 2 production. But here's why I like him even more in 2025. He gets to play under new offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak, and this is a perfect fit. Last year playing under Kubiak in New Orleans, Alvin Kamara had his most efficient rushing season since 2020. He averaged 6.4 targets per game, and Kubiak ran outside zone on almost 50% of the run plays, which was 3rd most in the NFL. Why does that matter? Because Kenneth Walker thrives on outside zone runs. Last year, 4.7 yards per carry on outside runs, just 3.8 yards per carry on gap runs. Kenneth Walker is built for this scheme. And the talent, it is still elite. He was 5th in juke rate last year, 13th in evaded tackles, and he's still only 24 years old with home run potential. And yes, Zach Charbonnet is still there, but we've seen it for 2 straight years now. When both are healthy, Walker is the workhorse and Charbonnet is just the backup. And last year we saw him take on the biggest receiving role of his career as he had 46 catches in only 11 games. If he builds on his receiving role under Klint Kubiak, and the signs say he will, and he pops more long runs in this scheme, and the signs say he will, we're looking at a guy who could legitimately finish as a top 5, top 10 running back. And he's going in the 5th round as a running back 17. That is his floor, but his ceiling is an absolute league breaker who wins your fantasy championship. Next up, let's look at DeAndre Swift, who's one of the most disrespected backs in 2025 drafts. Let's take a step back. Last year, Swift played behind a bottom-tier offensive line in one of the worst offenses in football. And still, he averaged 12.6 fantasy points per game, finishing as a running back 21. But get this, Swift has never finished worse than RB24 in points per game in any of his 5 seasons. Yet in 2025, he's being drafted in round 7 as the RB26. You're literally drafting him at his career floor. But let's dig deeper into his 2024 season. He was 7th in opportunity share, 13th in weighted opportunities, 15th in targets, 8th in routes run, and 21st in expected fantasy points. And all that while playing for a team that couldn't block or move the football. But that's going to change in 2025. First, the Bears made a massive coaching upgrade. They hired Ben Johnson, former Lions OC. He knows Swift well. He wanted Swift, and the Bears passed on drafting running backs multiple times this year, showing faith in DeAndre Swift. Second, this offensive line has gone from trash to potentially top 10. They acquired Jahan Jackson and Joe Thuney in trades this year. They signed Drew Dahlman, a great center, and they drafted Ozzie Trapillo in round 2. Swift could once again flirt with 300 touches, but this time behind an offensive line that can actually open holes and an offense that will actually score touchdowns. Sure, Swift has never lived up to his potential, but he's also not been as bad as people make him out to be, and he's not going to be that bad again this year. And again, you're drafting him at his absolute floor, and the ceiling is high-end RB2 with maybe RB1 potential. And if you're ready to get your fantasy football fix on and start drafting right now, you got to check out UnderdogFantasy.com. They have best ball drafts going on all offseason long, including their flagship Best Ball Mania 6, which is going to make multiple millionaires in 2025. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com, join using promo code ENDGAME, because not only is that going to get you a free pick that you can use among any sport, but also up to $1,000 in bonus cash that you can use to start drafting right now. And I feel the same way about Tony Pollard. He's finished running back 23 or better in points per game for 3 straight years. And yet, in 2025, being drafted as a running back 28. And because he was stuck in Tennessee, I don't think people realize how much usage Tony Pollard got last year. He ranked 9th in snap share, opportunity share, and weighted opportunities in 2024. And that's even including a Week 14 injury that cut into his usage for the final 4 games. And despite being in a terrible offense, Tony Pollard was actually pretty good. A league-high 67% of his yards came after contact last year, and he was 3rd in yards after contact per attempt. Now, I think what is contributing to pushing down his ADP a little bit is people are worried we're going to see more Tyjae Spears. But let's be real, before Pollard's injury last year, Spears' highest snap share was just 46%. He's just a change of pace guy. When both of these guys are healthy, Pollard is the guy. And unlike last year's Tennessee Titans that were terrible, this year's should be better because they just drafted Cam Ward, which gives them a huge upgrade at quarterback. Last year, this offense could not sustain drives or score touchdowns. The Titans were 29th in game script, and Pollard ranked just 22nd in red zone touches. With better QB play and more scoring chances, Pollard is going to be more productive for your fantasy football teams, and again, he's being drafted at his absolute rock bottom floor, but he has a ceiling to be a high-end RB2, maybe even a low-end RB1 that you're getting at a major discount in 2025. And let's wrap up with a late-round dart throw that could wreck leagues, Tank Bigsby. In 2024, this guy ranked 1st among all running backs in yards after contact per rush. He was also 5th in yards per carry against stacked boxes. And look, I get it. He wasn't consistent for your fantasy football team last year, but he was flat out miles better than Travis Etienne. Speaking of Etienne, he's not exactly getting glowing reviews from his team. When new head coach Liam Cohen was hired, there were trade rumors swirling around Travis Etienne. Now, sure, there are reports saying he's going to be the lead back, but they're also saying he could take a backseat on running plays. Read between the lines here. Tank Bigsby is going to be the guy getting most of the carries. And it doesn't help that Etienne has just not been very good. Last year, he ranked 46 out of 47 running backs in missed tackles forced per carry. Bigsby, meanwhile, was a full yard better than Etienne in yards after contact per carry. And don't forget, Cohen is the guy who let Bucky Irving thrive with those gap runs. Bigsby is built the same way. He excels on those gap runs while Etienne doesn't. It might not be immediate, but much like Bucky Irving last year, I think Bigsby is going to take over this lead back role at some point this season. And somehow, he's the last of all Jaguars running backs being drafted as the running back 50. Meaning he's a pick you make in the last round of your fantasy draft. Zero risk, massive upside. Don't leave your fantasy draft without grabbing Tank Bigsby in the last round. And don't leave this video without watching any more of the amazing content we have to help you win in 2025. You can find it all on our playlist right here.